Hello, my name is Brandon Peel, and I'm a certified purpose guide, the author of Planet on Purpose, and the course leader for the Global Purpose Expedition. And today I want to share with you three key initiations that everybody should do in their 30s. And specifically, they have to do with your body, your mind, and your soul. So I'll start with body first. And what I mean by first, let me start with initiation. So what I mean is like something that is hard, that you have to put yourself through, that it actually takes something to complete it, meaning like you can't go through the thing the same person. So it transforms you. That's kind of the definition of an initiation or an adventure. It's not like going to the store. You're not transformed by going to the store. You're not transformed by waking up on Tuesday and having another Tuesday. You're transformed by initiating yourself into a new way of being. And so there's these three key realms, body, mind, and soul, that in the 30s it becomes really clear that you need to initiate yourself newly. So it doesn't mean that you don't need to go to college or cultivate your mind, or that you didn't do creative things or have a soul connection prior to your 30s, or that you didn't push yourself in sports, or but I'm saying like that in the 30s is when it actually counts. And here's why. So your 20s, at least until your late 20s, you actually don't have the neocortex fully fleshed out. It's not fully developed. So prior to that, it's basically adolescence. So you don't become a biological adult until your late 20s. And so what that means is that instead of treating our 20s like the beginning of our career, we got to treat it as a portfolio of experience. Like how much diverse, amazing, incredible data can we squeeze into this decade? And that's really where the accent of like developmental awareness should be. Is like, I'm in my 20s. I don't need to yet have a purpose. I don't need to yet have define my identity by a career. I need to have as many different types of experiences as possible. And so during your 20s, you should be, I'll be blunt here, you should be sleeping around safely. You should be traveling. You should be experimenting with different classes, different types of work. The whole decade should take on a flavor of like responsible internship or responsible sabbatical, meaning like don't go into debt, don't take advantage of people, be a grown up, but don't throw yourself into a career, because your neocortex that comes online and is fully formed in your late 20s is the tool that you need to actually know who you are. So your 20s, you should have fun and explore. But towards the end of your 20s, you're going to start to feel this sense of like, what is this all about? Why do any of this? Why should I move to suburbia? Why should I get a job? Why get married? Why have kids? Why keep up with the Joneses? All this starts to come online. And that's when kind of these late 20s is a perfect time to do a soul initiation. But most folks actually don't get to it to their 30s, if not their 40s. But I want everybody to do a soul initiation during their 30s. But I'm gonna come back to soul here in a second, because the 30s are also a really unique time to initiate your body newly. So you're no longer able to just kind of get by on your youth. You're no longer able just to eat a bunch of crud and have the body that you want, right? You actually have to develop a discipline. And this is where I suggest doing something that is hard, like really hard, something you've never done before, something you didn't do in your teens, you didn't do in your 20s. This is like devoting yourself to somatic mastery. So pushing your body to the limit, not in a way that would destroy it, but in a way that would see what's possible. So things to take on are martial arts, are yoga teacher trainings, training for a marathon, preparing to hike like the John Muir Trail and actually hiking it, or the Grand Canyon, or putting yourself through something that is going to have you appreciate what it's like to have an adult body, because that's different than having a young person's body. Having an adult body requires care. and requires discipline in a way that a young body doesn't. So that's the first initiation, is to learn how to push yourself to the limit physically as an adult, and to do it in your 30s. Don't wait, because usually if you wait, you have 30s, 40s, 50s of not taking care of yourself, and your spine curves over, you get fat, all kinds of ailments start to catch up with you, which is why that needs to happen earlier. I had a girlfriend, ex-girlfriend in my early 30s, who said, "Brandon, you're at a tipping point here. Like it's going to go one way, it's going to go another." Because at the time, I was like, 245, lifting, eating whatever I felt like it. I was big, I had a little bit of a belly, and she's like, "It's going to go one way or another for you. I've seen it a million times. Like athletes, they either crash during this period or they thrive." And luckily, I heard it, and I changed my diet considerably, less sugar, less salt, and also threw myself into yoga. Also trained for some endurance hikes to the Grand Canyon. But one of the things I learned in that is that, inflammation, you got to deal with that. You can't just like go about your life inflamed, because that's actually what ages you and destroys your tissues. And so putting yourself through something hard, like an intense yoga ritual, I think for almost 2 years or 3 years, I did yoga every day. So I was like, I'm going to be great at this. And I think I became, pretty good, but not great. So that's the first thing, is body. The second is mind. And in mind, I don't mean like these books. I don't mean like fill your head with a lot of important ideas. I actually mean around your own personal power. So power over your mind, power over your mental state. And specifically, what ends up happening to humans without, intentional cultivation of mind is that we end up believing our circumstances are real. We even believe that our own thoughts are real and our emotions are real, and because we have them, something's wrong, and they're reasons to not do the things we care about. So we think our circumstances, our emotions, and our thoughts are real, and meaning like we have to like follow them because they occur, they exist. I thought it, so therefore it must be real. Or I'm feeling this. Oh my God, I am anger. Oh, what should I do? Well, clearly it means blow off the rest of the afternoon and be angry, or try to drink it away. And so, it's not that you couldn't do this work earlier, but I think it's really important to do it in the 30s, because you're not a kid anymore, and there's real consequences, which means like you will pour yourself into this type of work. And I'm not going to give you a choice of a bunch of different types of work to do, because I've only seen one type of work actually deliver this result, and that's the Landmark Introduction Leaders Program. Now, this is so Landmark has 2 other courses you have to take before that, but this is like a 7-month program that's nearly free. It's about $200 for this program. That's after paying almost $1,400, $1,500 for the other programs. But you do this Introduction Leaders Program, and you're unstoppable, meaning that you will have to deal with all the ways that you are small, all the ways that you sell yourself out, all the ways that you essentially don't believe in your greatness. So the program leaders, the classroom leaders, the head coach and the coaches are all standing for your greatness, and they beat your ass for 7 months straight, 10 hours a week, until you get how great you are. And specifically, what you get is power. You get the ability to treat your word as sacred. So you don't give your word where you can't keep it. And it's not that anyone's ever 100% totally in integrity. It's just that this is a practice, and you get like basically 400 hours of practicing giving your word and treating it as a sacred tool for creation. And this is a really powerful initiation. It surfaces everything in your life that doesn't work. So everything that's not a full and total match for your greatness is going to be revealed. So a lot of people have breakdowns. I was the same way. I thought I was in integrity prior to doing this program. I was really cocky. I was like, oh, I'll just sail through this. I didn't sail through it. I had huge breakdowns. I think the big thing was in my work. Like I had all these side jobs that I was like kind of doing to kind of pay the bills, and it turns out I couldn't do them and do the introduction leaders program. So it forced me to actually be successful in my business, like to actually get it done right, and invest in a coach, invest in best practices. And since then, my business has thrived. And it's not because I necessarily have, it wasn't because I learned how to run my business in the introduction leaders program. Is a landmark that this program had me look at the ways my life doesn't work and fix it. Because you can't be a leader if your life is in shambles. You got to deal with all the undelivered communication, all the relationships where there's no power and freedom or creativity and self-expression. You have to deal with, all your finances, like all like the basic adult things you got to deal with. And again, you could do it earlier. I don't suggest it, only because the 20s should be about exploration, but definitely do it in your 30s. Like give yourself the gift of like having somebody with a loving trained eye keep their eye on you, make sure that that your life is a match for how great you are. So do that program or coach it. I also coached it as well after I took it. And then the third is soul initiation. Now, there are some people who come online from a purpose perspective in their teens and 20s. Very rare, like 1 in 100,000 people actually do that. Most folks actually can't do it. Like literally, it's not possible, at least in the West, where we're enculturated in such a kind of soul negative way. We don't even have the muscle memory. Like we're entrained to not even listen to our soul. And so by the time that kind of late 20s, that neocortex pops in, we start to see how deeply unworkable life is. The sustainability issues, like you see how great people are, and then how lives for most humans are not great. We get present to that massive disparity between what we're capable of and what life looks like. And we start to actually find ourselves inside this question, like, I want to do things, and yet my life sucks. Like I want to be creatively self-expressed. I want to feel passionate about my job. I want to jump out of bed. I want to have an impact. I want to actually have a successful life. I want to make a healthy living and get married and have a family and a community and have all of it be on fire, like not boring, not like it's been done before with other generations, but actually have it be exciting. Imagine if all your friends were creative innovators. Imagine if your daily experience was one of like, wow, I'm riding the wave of cosmic evolution and helping like tell the next chapter of the story. Like that's what could be possible. And so in your 30s, you actually have a chance to do something about it. So the capability turned on in your late 20s. And now it's like there's consequences, right? You're spending 40, sometimes 50, 60, 70 hours a week in your job or commuting to it. And you don't want the next 20, 30 years to look like the last 5. You actually want to love the people you work with, love the work that you're doing, love the impact, love your own abilities, like to fall in love with yourself. And this is also when we start to get confronted with these limiting beliefs, the I'm not good enough, or it can't happen, or I'll look foolish, or I'll lose everything. Like all this fear, and it's normally quite healthy. But in your 30s, when the desire for purpose, for passion, for impact, for creativity comes online, it actually gets in the way of you living that. And that's where you need a soul initiation. Now, what I mean by that is that there are processes for clearing your ego, clearing out your personality, and getting right into the heart of who you are. So opening that channel, removing all the resistance, such that you can actually listen again. Because in a sense, it's a remembering. Like you actually know it. On some level, you know your purpose. You know what your life is supposed to look like. You had dreams as a kid. You know what brings you to life. You know what breaks your heart. You know what you want to see happen for this planet, for our species. It's there. It's there. You're not listening to it, or you're not allowing it to become real yet. And so that's what purpose discovery work is for. I mean, you can also do vision fasts. You can do medicine ceremonies, but working with a purpose guide or doing a purpose discovery program is a really powerful way to do that. And so I want to invite you to do that. So this third initiation becomes soul initiated. So put your body through the ringer in a generative, helpful way. Put your mind, meaning like your personal power, the sovereignty of your word. Put your mind through a ringer, and then initiate your soul, so that the next 10, 15, 20, 35 years that you're going to go work are going to be soulful. Like, you will ensoul your career, ensoul your life. Like, you will know exactly who you are and what it takes to come alive in every context, in your career, in your health, in your family, community, spirituality, romance, your finances. So I invite you to do that. So there is a course starting very soon called the Global Purpose Expedition. You can go to globalpurposeexpedition.com to explore that. And it's a cost-effective way to hit it fast, to initiate yourself into your purpose, to become soul initiated, to become purpose awakened, and begin to ensoul your life, move your purpose into your career, and create the world that you want to see created.